Smoke rose above the burned trees. Charred alien corpses lay scattered in the dirt, steam still hissing from their bodies. The sky glowed an unnatural orange. Plasma bolts had melted the rocks, and the scent of ash clung to everything. Ethan Cale stepped over the broken leg of a war machine, his boots crunching on shattered glass and alien bone. He was the last human soldier in Sector 9, his squad wiped out only hours before. His wrist scanner blinked red, no signs of friendly life, but one strange signal remained. A pulsing, soft blue dot. Alive, but different. He followed the trail. Through the forest, climbing over a crumbling transport shuttle half buried in moss. The scanner beeped louder, faster. Then, silence. He looked up. A silver spear pointed at his throat. At the other end of it stood a girl barefoot, trembling and covered in dried blood and ash. Her skin shimmered slightly, almost like glass under moonlight. Her hair floated lightly. Not from wind, but something else. She wasn't human. She was alien. But not like the ones he had been fighting. Her voice was soft. "Don't run. I need you." Ethan kept his hands up. "I'm not running," the spear lowered. She fell to her knees and began sobbing into her hands. "I'm the last," she whispered through her tears. "The last of my kind." He stepped closer carefully. "What species are you?" "I'm Yalari," she answered. "We were peaceful. But they thought we had secrets, weapons, so they came. Burned everything. I hid under bodies," her voice cracked. "I watched them kill the children, my mother, everyone." Ethan swallowed hard. He had heard about the extermination of a pacifist species on this moon. Official reports called it an accident. But now he was standing in front of a survivor. "Why did your scanner bring me here?" he asked. She looked up at him. Her eyes weren't like human eyes, they were deep, almost glowing, swirling like galaxies. "Because I locked it onto you. You're the only human left alive in this zone, and I need—" She stopped, looked away. "What?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she stood, walked slowly to a thick tree root and revealed a small, glowing orb. It lit up, scanning Ethan's body. "It's true," she murmured. "You're compatible." "Compatible for what?" Ethan asked, his voice low and cautious. She faced him again. "We weren't just wiped out. Our DNA matrix was destroyed. My people can't reproduce anymore, not naturally. But the old teachings say we once came from the same root as humans, long ago. Connected. Now it's the only chance I have. If I don't bond, our line ends forever." Ethan's mouth opened, then closed. He blinked. This wasn't a negotiation. It was a species-level extinction. And she was begging him to fix it. He shook his head slowly, trying to make sense of the situation. "You want me to breed with you?" She didn't blush. She didn't flinch. She just looked at him with calm, desperate honesty. "Yes. But I don't know you. We just met. This isn't simple." "I don't have time for simple," she whispered. "They're still hunting. My body is already entering the cycle. Soon, it will be too late. The bond must happen willingly, or it fails. That's why I asked." Suddenly, an explosion boomed in the distance. The ground shook. Ethan pulled out his blaster, scanning the horizon. "They're close. Who is it?" She turned pale. "The Purifiers. They're not just here to kill me. They're here to erase me. If I die, the Yellowy end. Completely." He looked at her again, really looked at her, at the cuts on her arms, the sadness buried in her eyes, the strength it took for her to stand there and ask something so vulnerable. "You trust me?" he asked. "I have no choice." More blasts echoed behind them. Ethan grabbed her hand. "Then let's move. We need cover and answers. And I need time to think." She nodded. "There's an old Yalari temple not far from here. It's safe. Or, it used to be. Together they ran through the forest, dodging debris and leaping over fallen logs. Trees sparked from energy bolts behind them, and as they vanished into the shadows of the thick alien trees, one thing became very clear to Ethan. This was not just a rescue mission. It was a decision that could shape the future of a forgotten people, and his own place in a war he never understood. He didn't know what the right answer was, but they were running out of time. The temple was hidden beneath thick roots and moss, its grand arches cracked with time and weather. Strange glowing vines clung to the stone, whispering with life. It didn't look like a place of worship anymore. It looked like something lost, forgotten by both time and tragedy. Ethan stepped inside with his blaster drawn, checking corners. Scanning for heat signatures. Nothing. Just cold walls and quiet. The alien girl, Yellari, stood in the doorway, her body visibly shaking. "This is where I was born," she whispered. "Before the war, before everything." Ethan didn't respond. His eyes scanned the room, but his mind raced elsewhere. He had survived years of brutal combat. He'd seen entire species erased in the name of security, profit, or revenge. But he had never seen something like this, an entire future balanced on a single moment. One life, one choice. He sat down near a glowing pool in the center of the room. The water shimmered with starlight despite the lack of any sky above. Yellari knelt across from him. "You don't believe me, do you?" "I believe you believe it," Ethan said carefully. "That you're the last. That this temple is real, but I'm not ready to agree to what you're asking." She didn't flinch. "I understand. But the Yellari were never just flesh and bone. Our children are born from energy as much as biology. Our bond must be deeper. True. If your heart refuses, the union fails." He sighed, rubbing his face with dirty hands. "You said you locked your scanner to mine. How?" She opened her palm, revealing a shard of glowing crystal. "This is a soul stone. We carried them since birth. They pulse when a true match is near. Yours reacted stronger than I've ever seen. That's why I reached out." Ethan leaned back against a column. "I've been called many things, soldier, fool, survivor, but never soul match. I don't even know you." "You don't need to know me," she said quietly. "You just need to see that I'm real. That I'm here. That I'm begging you not for pleasure or power, but mercy." Suddenly, the ground vibrate.the froze. Ethan stood, blaster raised. "Someone's coming." They rushed to the edge of the temple doorway and peeked out. Two black armored Purifier soldiers scanned the area with search drones, moving in stiff, precise patterns. They carried weapons built for eradication, not capture. Ethan turned to Yellari. "If they find us, it's over." She nodded. "There's a secret chamber beneath the altar. My mother showed it to me as a child. We can hide there." They sprinted back to the glowing pool. Yellari placed her palm on the center stone. The floor cracked open with a low hum, revealing a stairway lit by soft, pulsing light. The two descended quickly and sealed the door behind them just as the sound of metal boots echoed through the main temple. The hidden chamber below was quiet and warm, filled with floating crystal spheres and ancient carvings. Everything glowed faintly alive with memory. Ethan stepped closer to one of the walls. "These symbols, they're telling a story." Yellari moved beside him. "They speak of the old union, when humans and Yellari shared knowledge. Our ancestors were once friends, maybe more." He stared at the carving of a human figure holding hands with a glowing Yellari queen. "This was erased from history," he said. "The Alliance never mentioned it." "Because it didn't benefit them to remember," she replied. Ethan sat down slowly, the weight of it all crashing over him. And now I'm part of that history again. Yellari sat beside him. Close, but not touching. I know you're scared, she said gently. So am I, but if you walk away, there will be no one left to tell our story. The bond is more than just life, it's memory, soul, truth. If you choose me, I will carry your name in my blood, and the stars will remember. He turned to look. At her? You really mean that, don't you? I do. A loud bang echoed above them. The Purifiers had found the entrance. Time was gone. Ethan stood up. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for hers. Then let's finish what we started. Yellari's eyes shimmered, but she didn't smile. She only nodded. Let the union begin. Not for lust. Not for war, but for rebirth. The chamber pulsed brighter, wrapping them both in light, and as the Purifiers tried to break through above, something ancient and powerful stirred deep in the walls around them, waiting, watching, ready. The light that filled the chamber was unlike anything had ever seen. It wasn't harsh or blinding, it was warm, pulsing like a heartbeat, and it felt as though it wrapped itself around his thoughts. His limbs felt lighter, his body warm. He could no longer hear the Purifiers above. All sound was swallowed by the soft hum rising from the ancient walls. Celery stood before him, her glowing eyes locked onto his. She wasn't trembling anymore. She was calm, resolute, glowing in a soft, celestial light. You're still free to walk away, she whispered. The soul bond has not begun yet. This is your choice, human. Ethan's breath slowed. He'd faced death 100 times, lost comrades, killed enemies. He had never hesitated in battle. But this wasn't war. This was creation. I'm still here, he said quietly. Yellari stepped forward and placed her fingers on his chest, right above his heart. The room reacted instantly. Crystals brightened. Symbols along the walls lit up. The air turned thicker, humming with memory. Then she spoke in a language Ethan didn't understand, but somehow felt words not meant for the mind but the soul. The ground beneath them shifted. A circle of light formed around their feet, rising slowly like a dome, closing them in. Ethan's vision swam. He staggered but didn't fall. Images flashed through his mind: Yellari's childhood, her family laughing around a glowing orb. Then flames, screams, the smell of burning flesh. And finally, her running alone through ash, clutching the soul-stone. He gasped, falling to one knee. I saw everything. Our memories are now linked, Yellari said softly. The bond has begun. He looked up. Can you see mine? She nodded. Her voice trembled, but not with fear. You lost your brother in the war. Your commanding officer ordered you to retreat, but you stayed. You carried him back alone. You buried him with your own hands. Ethan said nothing. That memory was buried deep. No one had ever seen it. Not even the military psych-evils. Yellari's hand hovered over his face. You are more than a soldier, Ethan Cale. That is why I chose you. Suddenly, the entire chamber shuddered. The dome of light broke. The hidden entrance above exploded open with a violent roar. Ethan sprang to his feet, blaster drawn. Smoke and dust rained from the ceiling. A Purifier drone descended first, spider-like, with red glowing sensors and twin cannons. It scanned the chamber, locking onto Ethan. He fired without thinking. 3 shots. The drone burst into sparks, but behind it came 2 armored soldiers. Ethan grabbed Yellari and pulled her behind a thick stone pillar as plasma bolts shattered the crystal floor. We have to move, Yellari's eyes flashed. No, I can stop them. She stepped forward into the open. Ethan shouted, Yellari, no! She raised both hands, and the light from the temple gathered around her like a living wave. The air trembled. Her body lifted slightly off the ground. The soldiers hesitated. Their scanners blinked erratically. Yalari spoke not in words, but in something deeper. A pulse, a frequency, a command. The soldiers dropped their weapons. One fell to his knees, shaking violently. The other turned and ran in terror. Ethan stared.
Frozen. What was that? She turned to him, weak and swaying.
The bond made me whole again. My blood is now mixed with yours. It unlocked something ancestral power. But I can't use it again, not without help. Ethan caught her as she collapsed. Her skin burned with fever. What's happening to you? Her voice was faint. The union wasn't finished. We were. Interrupted. The bond. It must be completed in the star core. It's the only place strong enough to stabilize what we've started. He looked around at the wrecked temple, then up at the smoke and fire still falling through the hole above. Where's the star core? He asked. She opened her hand and revealed a shard of light. It floated upward, then drifted out through a narrow passage on the far side of the chamber. Follow it, she whispered. It will guide you. Ethan tightened his grip around her. We'll get there. I'm not letting you die. You hear me? Yellari's hand brushed his face. I trust you, human. With her body weak and the temple crumbling, Ethan lifted her into his arms and ran. Behind them, more soldiers began to swarm the ruins. Drones scanned the area, searching for a trail. The hunt wasn't over, but neither was the bond dot, and in the dark, as they ran toward the unknown, Ethan began to understand something deeper than orders and missions. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was carrying the last hope of an entire species. Ethan pushed through the narrow tunnel. Yellari cradled in his arms, her breathing shallow. The glowing shard floated just ahead, lighting the way. The walls pulsed gently, responding to her presence. Old tech, maybe living, maybe something else entirely. Behind them, the sounds of marching boots and distant drone engines echoed. The Purifiers were closing in. He had no idea how far the star core was, but they had no other option. Yellari stirred. We're close, she whispered. The air, it's different. Can you feel it? Ethan paused, listening. He noticed it. Too, the air was warmer, charged with energy, like static just before a storm. A faint, rhythmic hum vibrated beneath his boots. Yeah, he muttered. It's like walking inside a heartbeat. The passage opened suddenly into a vast cavern. Ethan stopped in his tracks. Before him stood the star core. It floated in the center of the chamber, a massive orb of rotating crystalline light suspended by invisible forces. Dozens of pillars circled it like silent guardians. Rivers of soft blue energy ran through the floor, pulsing toward the core. It was ancient, alive. Yellari's eyes fluttered open. She looked up, tears in her eyes. We made it. Ethan carried her to the base of the core. As he stepped closer, it responded. The light brightened. The hum turned melodic. The floor opened, revealing a raised platform with alien symbols etched into its surface. He laid her down gently. What do I do? She reached for his hand. Step into the circle. It will guide us both. It will finish what we started. He didn't hesitate. He stepped beside her. The star core flared. Pillars of light shot up around them, encasing them. In a dome, their bodies rose an inch above the ground as streams of data, memory, and stardust wrapped around them. Yellari's form shimmered, her body growing stronger, glowing brighter. Ethan felt it too. His skin tingled. His heartbeat matched the rhythm of the chamber. Then it happened. The soul bond fully activated. Memories weren't just shared, they fused. He saw her life, her ancestors, her joys, and her despair as if they were his own. In return, she felt his pain, his loyalty, the depth of his choices, and the burden of surviving when others didn't. And then came something else. The core began rewriting genetic code. It didn't hurt, it felt like heat, light, and renewal all at once. Their cells aligned. Her broken reproductive code rebuilt itself with the missing pieces borrowed from his dot. The chamber pulsed brighter. The platform cracked with light. Yellory gasped, her eyes wide. It's working. Ethan held her hand tighter. You'll live. Your people will live. The chamber suddenly dimmed. The light pulled inward into her. She collapsed against him, but this time her body was full of warmth, not weakness. Her eyes glowed pure white for a moment, then the light faded. The core calmed out. They dropped gently. Back to the floor. Yellari opened her mouth to speak, but a sharp sound cracked through the air. Blaster fire. Ethan spun, shielding her with his body. One of the Purifier soldiers had made it into the chamber. He stood near the entrance, weapon raised. Step away from the girl, the soldier barked. She's a code violation. Genetic contamination. You're under arrest for treason. Ethan didn't move. You're too late. The process is done. She's a threat to human purity, the soldier growled. This species isn't registered. You don't know what you've created. Ethan leveled his blaster. I know I saved a life. And maybe a future. The soldier fired. Ethan returned. Fire. Both bolts collided. Midair in a flash of blue-white light that threw both men off balance. Yellari stood slowly behind Ethan. She raised her hand. No more death. The air shifted. A pressure wave blasted outward from her body. The soldier was flung across the chamber, weapon torn from his hands. He lay still. Ethan turned. How did you do that? Her voice was calm. It wasn't. Me alone. You're part of me now. That was our bond's power. He looked at her, really looked. Her body shimmered with new life. Her posture was stronger. There was something new in her eyes, something ancient and hopeful. I feel different, he admitted. You are, she said. You're not just human anymore. Suddenly, the Star Core sent out one last signal. A pulse of light soared into the sky above, shooting through layers of stone and atmosphere. What was that? Ethan asked. Yellari turned toward him, holding his hand. A beacon. It's calling the others. Anyone left? Anyone who carries even a spark of my kind will come? He blinked. You think more survived? I know they did. And now they'll follow the light home. Ethan nodded. For the first time in a long time, he felt something close to peace, but he also knew this was only the beginning. The Star Core's pulse had faded to a steady glow. The battle was over, at least for now, but the silence that followed felt fragile, like the calm before a greater storm. Ethan helped Yellari down from the platform. Her legs were steady now. Her body no longer trembled. Her skin had a faint glow to it, as if the Star Core had awakened something dormant inside her. I thought I was alone, she whispered, glancing toward the beam of light that still pierced the sky like a signal tower. But the core, it showed me visions. Scattered Yellari survivors, hidden, sleeping, fleeing. Some were in cryo. Some disguised as other species. The signal will draw them here. Ethan kept his blaster in hand. And what about the ones who want you dead? The Purifiers aren't going to back off. If anything, they'll send more. Yellari's voice turned sharp. Then we'll fight. He looked at her. You? No, she said. We, you and me. And the ones who come. Before he could answer, a rumble echoed in the distance. A low roar. A ship. Ethan moved to the edge of the chamber and peered upward through the broken ceiling. A shadow passed over the cracked temple above them. That's not a Purifier ship, he muttered. Too slow, too quiet. A second later, the sound of landing gear deploying confirmed it. A vessel was touching down just outside. Yellari's eyes lit up. They heard the beacon. Ethan tightened his grip on the blaster, or someone else did. He led the way back through the tunnel with Yellari close behind. As they emerged from the hidden path into the jungle clearing outside the temple, the ship came into full view. It was sleek, rounded like a raindrop, with glowing blue engines and no visible weapons. A small insignia on its hull pulsed with a symbol Ethan didn't recognize, 2 swirling stars, entwined by a silver vine. The hatch hissed open. 2 figures stepped out. They looked almost human, but their eyes glowed faintly, and their movements were too graceful, too fluid. Yellari gasped, then ran forward. "Vera? Cullen?" she cried out. The 2 figures stopped. The female, one taller and older, stepped closer and knelt. "Yellari, it can't be. You survived?" "I did," she breathed, "and I sent the signal." The star core awakened again. The older woman embraced her tightly, then looked over at Ethan with cautious eyes. "You're the human?" Ethan nodded. "Ethan Kale, I didn't plan for any of this. I was just a soldier trying to survive." The male, younger and more skeptical, narrowed his eyes. "You bonded with her?" Ethan didn't back down. "I did," she asked. "I chose." There was a long pause, then the older woman bowed her head slightly. "Then we owe you everything. I am Vera, once a priestess of the northern Yellari clans. This is my son." Yellari turned to Ethan. "They were part of the last evacuation ships. I thought they were destroyed." Kellen stepped forward. "Many were? We fled into dark space, hiding, waiting for a call that never came until now." Vera's voice was heavy with emotion. "The core has always chosen who may bond. It did not choose lightly." Yellari smiled faintly, then looked back toward the temple ruins. "Others will come now. But so will the Purifiers." Ethan nodded grimly. "We'll need to prepare." Vera looked to the sky. "Then let this place become a sanctuary again. The core still stands. We will protect it." That night, fires were lit across the ruins. More ships began to arrive, small, silent, cautious. From every direction came refugees, wounded, tired, but alive. Ethan watched it unfold from the edge of the camp. Blaster on his lap, Yellari sat beside him. "You did it," she said softly. "Because of you, we have a future." Ethan shook his head. "No, you did this. I just followed a signal and made a choice." She leaned against his shoulder. "That's all any future needs, one choice, one brave heart." He didn't reply. Instead, he looked toward the jungle beyond, shadows shifting in the night. "They'll come for us," he said. "And next time, they won't send just scouts." "No," Yellari replied. "But next time, we won't be alone." They sat in silence, surrounded by the quiet sounds of rebuilding. Sparks from welding tools. The gentle hum of restored crystal lights. Soft alien songs rising from small fires. People thought Lost had returned. And somewhere in the stars, more were still coming. The jungle no longer whispered with fear, it pulsed with life. Makeshift shelters of crystal and fiberwood had risen around the old temple ruins. Yellari children, those born in exile, ran between campfires, and for the first time in generations, laughter echoed beneath the shattered stars. But Ethan remained uneasy. He stood near the edge of the camp, staring up at the night sky. His jaw tightened as he spotted the blinking lights of satellites in low orbit, silent, circling eyes that reported everything. Vera joined him quietly, robes trailing behind her like mist. "You don't trust peace," she said. "I trust patterns," Ethan replied. "And every time something beautiful is rebuilt, someone in power decides it shouldn't exist." She nodded. "Then it's time we stopped hiding and started protecting." Ethan turned to her. "We'll need more than light shields and temple guards, and you'll have them," she said calmly. "Our bond with the core unlocked more than memories." It reawakened a piece of our original biology strength that was sealed long ago. Your DNA completed the sequence. Ethan blinked. You mean? Yes, Yalari rebirth is not just symbolic now. It's real. And those born from this union will not be like us. Or like you. They'll be something new. Before he could respond, a sharp tone blared from the scout tower. Kellen's voice cut across the comm. Unidentified vessel entering upper atmosphere. Large, no broadcast ID. Ethan grabbed his blaster, already moving. Yellery met him halfway across the square. They've come. He looked at her. Can you fight? Her glow intensified. I don't need to. Not alone. Not anymore. Dozens of Yalari, both young and old, emerged from tents and halls, their hands lighting with soft power, eyes shining like the core itself. They stood shoulder to shoulder, unafraid. The night sky split open as the ship descended. It was a war cruiser, black, jagged, no beauty in its design, only function. The insignia on its side was unmistakable. Purifier command. The ship hovered above the ruins, casting a cold shadow across the land. Then it opened, and figures dropped from its underbelly, dozens of them in heavy power armor, plasma cannons in hand. The earth shook as they landed. Their leader, a tall figure in red trim, stepped forward and removed his helmet. Commander Thorn. Ethan's blood ran cold. He'd served under Thorn once. The man was brilliant, ruthless, and utterly loyal to the Council's vision of human purity. Thorn's voice echoed, amplified by his suit. Ethan Cale, you're a decorated veteran. A hero once. But you've crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Step away from the alien, and I'll consider mercy. Ethan raised his blaster. I think you came to the wrong place if you expected surrender. Thorn sighed. So be it. He raised his hand. The Purifiers fired. The first wave of plasma. Bolts never landed. They hit an invisible wall. Yalari shields, projected not by machines, but by bodies standing together. Unified by the core. Then came the response, not in guns, but in light. Yalari warriors raised their hands, and pillars of energy burst from the ground, throwing back the attackers. Vines of glowing crystal wrapped around the soldiers' feet, pinning them. Ethan moved like lightning, weaving between enemy fire, taking down soldiers with precision. He moved with a clarity he hadn't felt in years, as if something in his blood now pulsed faster. Sharper. Beside him, Yellery moved like wind, like flame, her steps barely touching the ground. She didn't attack with rage, she radiated calm. And every blast that neared her seemed to bend away, like the world itself was protecting her. The battle didn't last long. Thorn watched in disbelief, as his elite soldiers were overwhelmed not by brute strength, but by harmony, unity. Then Ethan stood face to face with him. You're too late, Commander, he said. Thorn sneered. You don't know what you've unleashed. Hybrid species are unstable. You think the Council will allow this? I don't care what the Council allows, Ethan growled. This isn't their galaxy anymore. Yalari stepped forward. We don't need permission to exist. And we won't vanish quietly. Thorn tried to raise his weapon, too slow. Yellari's hand reached out. A soft wave of energy pushed him back. His suit locked up. He fell to one knee, choking. I won't kill you, she said. Let your council see the truth through your eyes. She turned and walked away. The remaining Purifiers fled. Silence returned. But it wasn't the silence of fear, it was the silence after victory. Ethan stood beside her, chest heaving. That was war, Yalari nodded, and it won't be the last. But next time, they'll know we won't run. He looked around. Their people were standing strong. Survivors, warriors, children of two worlds, and somewhere deep inside him, something whispered, this is only the beginning. The sun rose slowly over the ruined temple grounds, casting golden light across the newly rebuilt camp. Smoke no longer came from wreckage but from cooking fires. Songs were being sung in soft voices, not battle cries. The war was over. 4. Now. Ethan stood at the edge of a ledge overlooking the jungle valley, his eyes scanning the horizon. In the distance he saw new ships approaching, small ones, peaceful, responding to the Star Corps' ancient call. More survivors were arriving. And they were no longer afraid. Yulari approached from behind, a soft smile on her face. Her glow had faded into something gentle, less like fire, more like moonlight. She walked differently now. Purposeful, strong. They're coming home, she said quietly. More than I imagined, some with children. Others, carrying the seeds of our people, hidden in cryochambers and memory pods. Ethan nodded. They're answering the call because they saw what we did, what we became. Yulari looked up at him. And you still stand by your choice? He turned to her, not needing to think. I'd make it again, every time. They walked together into the heart of the camp. Refugees greeted them with bowed heads and whispered thanks. Ethan didn't like being treated like a hero, but he accepted it. Not for glory, but because he knew what they had fought for. A new council was forming, a mixture of old Yulari leaders and newly awakened hybrids born in exile. And they had chosen Yulari as their voice. She stood before the gathered crowd that evening, beneath the glow of the core, and spoke. We are not what we were. And we are not what they wanted us to be. We are something new. Our survival is not the end of the story, it's the beginning. We will not seek revenge. We will not hide in the dark. We will build. We will raise our children not to fear humans but to remember that it was a human who saved us. The crowd was silent for a moment. Then the temple rang with cheers. Later that night, Ethan sat with Yulari beneath a crystal tree. Watching the stars blink into view, he broke the quiet. So, what now? You're a queen or a high priestess or a hero to your people. You don't need a soldier at your side anymore. Yulari rested her head on his shoulder. I don't need a soldier. I need the man who stayed. Who saw me? Not as a burden, but as someone worth saving. You gave me a future, and now I want to live it with you. Ethan smiled for the first time in a long time, not a grin, not a smirk, but real, quiet peace. They sat in silence again until Yulari gently took his hand and placed it over her stomach. He froze, then looked at her. Her eyes shimmered. It started, she whispered. Our child. He didn't speak. Couldn't. In that moment, all the battles, the pain, the fear, it faded. Replaced by awe, she touched his face gently. Our child will be the first of many, a symbol of two peoples. And one day, they'll look back at this broken temple and know it was where the stars turned. Ethan nodded. We'll protect it. Together. Just then, Kellen approached with urgent steps. We've received a message. Ethan stood quickly. From who? Kellen handed him a datapad. From Earth, the Human Council. Ethan's jaw clenched as he read. The message was short. To Ethan Kale and the Yulari people. Cease expansion. The genetic blending is a violation of Galactic Regulation 17. If hybridization continues, enforcement will be authorized. High Command, Earth Sector Council. Yulari stepped beside him. They're afraid, he nodded. Because they can't control what they don't understand. Kellen looked between them. What do we do? Ethan looked toward the temple, toward the core, then back to the people who now stood with hope in their eyes. We don't stop, he said. We don't hide. Let them come if they must. But they'll see what we've built here. Not a threat, something better. Yulari took his hand. We'll raise our child, she said. And if others come to destroy it all again, then we'll show them something stronger than fear. Unity? Kellen asked. No, Ethan said with a calm smile. Family. As the stars turned above and the jungle breathed with new life, a forgotten people took their first true step into the future hand. In hand with the very species that once helped destroy them, not as enemies, but as something more.